So here's a shocker for you. Hollywood directors can sometimes behave badly. Really badly. When it comes to actors, even some of the most brilliant filmmakers apparently think you've got to break them to make them. Director David O. Russell has a Midas touch. Whatever he tackles often turns into gold, or at least Academy Awards. You'd think Hollywood would be beating down the door to work with the guy, but when it comes to actors, Russell has a nasty reputation.
I'm running the show, I'm the quarterback, and I'm not gonna settle.
Yeah, Russell wrote that line. Amy Adams collaborated with Russell in 2010's The Fighter and scored a Best Supporting Actress nomination for her work. But in a 2016 interview with British GQ, Adams called out Russell's behavior on the set of 2013's American Hustle. She described him screaming at the actors as they worked, saying, "I did a scene with Bradley where I have to hit him and he's yelling at me, hit him, hit him, hit him, hit him, harder, harder, harder. Really give it to him this time." Russell's behavior was apparently so extreme that Adams co-star Christian Bale had to step in to mediate.
You should treat people the way that you want to be treated. Didn't Jesus say that? Yeah, right. Also, always take a favor over money.
Russell wrote that line too. At least he got a screenwriting credit, so he knew all those lines in American Hustle were basically ironic at best. Yeah, think about the characters Bale tends to play, and then think about the situation that cast him as the sane, well-balanced person in the room. Sounds iffy, but we weren't there.
Play your part.
Fine. You play your part.
American Hustle turned out to be a major critical and box office hit, so everybody wins, right? Not exactly. For Adams, the end doesn't actually justify the means. She said, "It's not okay with me. Life to me is more important than movies." Still, Adams wouldn't write off the idea of working with Russell in the future because, well, that's Hollywood. Director David Fincher is obsessed with details, and his demands in pursuit of the perfect shot have rubbed some actors the wrong way. He's pretty famous for Kubrickian numbers of takes on scenes. In 1999's Fight Club, he wanted a little more grit in the scene where Edward Norton's narrator throws his first punch at Brad Pitt's character.
Fincher came up to me and said, hit him, connect with him somewhere. And I didn't know what to do, and I hit him in the ear.
Getting punched in the ear might not make you see stars, but it hurts.
Ow! Christ! Why the ear, man?
Why indeed, only Norton knows. There was plenty of conflict on the set of James Cameron's The Abyss. Both Cameron and star Ed Harris nearly drowned in separate incidents, which can possibly be filed under the category of unfortunate near accidents, but there was other more egregious behavior on the set. Harris told Entertainment Weekly about an incident with actress Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, saying, "In the drowning scene, I was screaming at Mastrantonio to come back and wake up, and I was slapping her across the face, and I see that they've run out of film in the camera. There's a light on the camera, and nobody had said anything. And Mary Elizabeth stood up and said, 'We are not animals,' and walked off the set. They were going to let me just keep slapping her around."
It's not easy being a cast iron bitch.
You can call James Cameron a lot of things, but good with people? That's one you don't hear that much. What was Stanley Kubrick's on-set behavior really like? If you worked on 1980's The Shining and were worried about professional repercussions, you might politely call it frustrating. Kubrick's meticulous attention to detail drove the production way over schedule. Actor Shelley Duvall had to stick around England, where the film was shot, for more than a year. That's not the outrageous part, though. You all know about his multiple takes of a scene, but I don't think you actually get the depths it got to. Kubrick actually forced Duvall and co-star Jack Nicholson to shoot the baseball bat confrontation scene a whopping 127 times. Imagine doing this 10 times, then multiply that by 12, then do a few more.
Give me the bat. Stop it! Give me the bat. Stop swinging the bat.
Please stop!
Duvall told Roger Ebert, "Going through day after day of excruciating work, almost unbearable. Jack Nicholson's character had to be crazy and angry all the time, and in my character I had to cry 12 hours a day all day long, the last 9 months straight, 5 or 6 days a week."
I had to cry and hyperventilate and carry a little boy and run, for most of the time we shot.
In a behind-the-scenes documentary shot by Kubrick's daughter Vivian, the director scolds an obviously exhausted Duvall for her performance.
"It looks fake. It really does."
Later, Duvall said Kubrick did this to get a rise out of her as a performer. There's another way to do that. It's called acting. Kill Bill Volume 2 required Uma Thurman to do a lot of her own stunts, but there was one in particular that she'll never forget. It happened in the scene in which Thurman's character Beatrix Kiddo drives a convertible on the way to hunt down Bill. In an interview with the New York Times, she recalled being nervous about the stunt from the beginning. She'd heard the car had been reconfigured from a stick shift to an automatic and wasn't working correctly, so she'd asked for a stunt person to drive it instead. Thurman explained, Quentin came in my trailer and didn't like to hear no like any director. He said, "I promise you the car is fine. It's a straight piece of road. Hit 40 miles per hour or your hair won't blow the right way and I'll make you do it again." But that was a death box that I was in. The seat wasn't screwed down properly. It was a sand road and it was not a straight road. Thurman ended up crashing the car into a tree, leaving her seriously injured. I came back from the hospital in a neck brace with my knees damaged and a large, massive egg on my head and a concussion. Thurman and Tarantino had a huge fight in which she accused him of trying to kill her, which obviously Tarantino denied. But that wasn't the only bit of sadistic behavior Tarantino exhibited toward Thurman during that film. According to her, he also filled in for actor Michael Madsen by spitting in her face during her close-up and standing in for another actor by choking her with a chain. David O. Russell again. In addition to Amy Adams on American Hustle, the director clashed with George Clooney on the set of 1999's Three Kings, and Clooney hasn't been shy about speaking out about the experience. In 2000, during an interview with Playboy, the actor praised Russell's script and called him a genius, but not when it came to handling people. Clooney described multiple incidents in which Russell mistreated and humiliated his crew, and Clooney confronted him about it in an attempt to defuse the situation. It all came to a head one day when Clooney put his arm around Russell after a heated incident involving the director and a crew member. Clooney recalled, "I said, David, it's a big day, but you can't shove, push, or humiliate people who aren't allowed to defend themselves." He turned on me and said, "You want to hit me? You want to hit me?" Russell continued to challenge him, pressing his head against Clooney's, and it didn't stop there. Clooney said, "Then he got me through the throat, and I went nuts. I had him by the throat. I was going to kill him. Finally, he apologized, but I walked away." When Clooney was asked if he would work with Russell again, he said, "Life's too short." William Friedkin's The Exorcist stands out as one of the scariest horror movies of all time. For Ellen Burstyn, who played Chris McNeil, the film remains memorable for another reason. It left her with a permanent back injury. Speaking to HuffPost Live, Burstyn discussed the scene in which her possessed daughter Reagan pushes her to the floor. According to Burstyn, the first time she filmed the scene, she hit the floor hard and hurt her back. When Friedkin called for another take, she told him that the person pulling the wire to make her fall yanked it too hard, recalling, "And Billy said, 'Well, it has to look real.' And I said, 'I know it has to look real, but I'm telling you I could get hurt.' And so he said, 'Okay, don't pull her so hard.' But then I'm not sure that he didn't cancel that behind my back because the guy smashed me into the floor." She claimed that the numerous takes for this scene hurt her back permanently, and she's had to live with the pain since then. Speaking about the late Friedkin's approach to directing, Burstyn said, "Billy is one of those directors that is so dedicated to getting the shot right that I think some other considerations sort of fall by the wayside sometimes." Alejandro González Iñárritu's The Revenant earned the praise of critics and a number of Oscar nods. The film's protagonist, Hugh Glass, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, really goes through it emotionally and physically, but it wasn't all movie magic. Iñárritu is a perfectionist, and he allegedly lost his temper on the Revenant set when things didn't go his way. He had to reel in his expectations after producers warned him that the situation was becoming too dangerous for the actors. Speaking in Men's Journal, DiCaprio recalled one episode in particular, saying, "It hit 40 below zero. At that point, we couldn't really open our eyes, and our fingers locked together and the camera gear locked together, and I just looked at Alejandro and said, I'm all for enduring realism, but there comes a point when nothing is operable." Iñárritu sort of admitted he'd gone a little too far, saying, "The producers wanted to evacuate us. The actors couldn't move their lips, and I was pretending everything was all right." Despite being made in 1974, Chinatown will forever be one of the most important movies in the film noir genre, led by a pair of indelible performances from Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway. The film was directed by Roman Polanski, who is regarded as one of the best directors in the world before his personal life overshadowed his professional accomplishments. At the time, pairing Polanski with Dunaway and Nicholson looked like a dream team in the making. In reality, it was more of a nightmare. To put it politely, Polanski and Dunaway didn't see eye to eye during production.
That's Polanski and me in Chinatown. Roman the Terror. But he thought I was a terror also, I'm sure.
Dunaway credited Nicholson for helping ease the tension on set, with Nicholson, again, at least by reputation, being an unlikely stabilizing influence.
LA's a small town. People talk. I'm just trying to make a living. I don't want to become a local joke.
There was one incident that stuck with Dunaway. In the middle of shooting a scene, one of her hairs was sticking straight up. She and a staff of hairdressers tried to tame it, but the hair wanted what it wanted.
So my hair doesn't want to do what another person tells him to do.
That wouldn't stand with Polanski, who reportedly rushed in and yanked the headstrong hair right out of Dunaway's head.
I've been around a long time. Even then, I had been around a long time. I never heard some of those words.
They started the scene over after somebody stuck a hat on Dunaway's head. Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds turned Tippi Hedren into a star, but the actor doesn't have fond memories of the experience. In her memoir, Tippi, Hedren claimed that Hitchcock told her he was planning to use mechanical birds for the big scene in which her character gets attacked by birds. But when the day arrived, Hedren learned they'd be using real birds instead. According to Hedren, she'd had birds flung at her for 5 days, but on the final day, birds were tied to her costume and started to peck away as even more of them were thrown into the mix. Hedren wrote, "I was too focused on my own survival to notice, but I was told later that it was even more horrifying and heartbreaking for the crew to watch than the previous 4 days had been, and there wasn't a thing anyone but Hitchcock could do to put a stop to it." After a bird pecked very close to her eye, a fed-up Hedren yelled, "I'm done." Doctors forced her to take a week off after that, much to Hitchcock's dismay. Ultimately, though, the film changed Hedren's life, and she later wrote, "I never forgot for one moment that it was all happening because of Alfred Hitchcock, and I never forgot for one moment that I'd earned it."